What a weekend. Gambians choose their deputies. Hello, my name is Lamin, and this is The Nation Today. Coming up tonight, Gambians vote in parliamentary elections. President Ahmad Barrow has described the number of candidates that really vied for seats in the National Assembly elections as unprecedented. We have that report for you today. Well, the president and his National People's Party have fallen short of an absolute majority. We also have that report for you. Mama Kande is also addressing his supporters. After his party, they fielded 26 candidates. They secured 0 seat in parliament. We have that report also for you, but also the IMF is saying that the Gambia's growth will flatten in this year, that is 2021, given the war in Ukraine. My guest tonight will be Ahmad Gitteh. But before all of this, so we will begin with my take for tonight. On Saturday, the 9th of April 2022, Gambians went to the polls to vote for their National Assembly members. The Gambia is made up of 53 constituencies. One would have thought, however, that the National People's Party would repeat their 2021 political blitzkrieg, in which the party swept almost all of the country's constituencies. But the party has failed in 22 constituencies, winning in 18, or winning only 18. UDP have every reason to celebrate, as a hitherto dejected and demoralized party has somehow managed to pull itself right back into the heart of affairs. With 15 seats, the party won 15 seats there. Well, there have been talk that the diversity of representation is in fact good for our democracy. Well, I would believe so too. But I believe these new MPs should work in the best interest of the nation and help President Ahmad Barrow move the country forward. That will be it for my take tonight. We'll take a short. Welcome back. So President Ahmad Barrow has described the number of candidates that contested in the just concluded parliamentary elections as unprecedented. These elections saw a staggering 246 candidates contest in the elections. 251 were nominated, but 5 withdrew nights before the poll on Saturday. More in this report.
The president said the number of candidates in this year's National Assembly elections is a clear indication that the country's democracy is moving forward.
It is more than all candidates who were contesting in previous National Assembly elections. That is a clear indication that Gambia have moved on. Our democracy is moving. That means the field is level, and I think that is very good going forward. Because it was a transition period. Now the transition is over. We have consolidated ourselves. We have built a strong foundation. Moving forward, it is very, very, very clear. And I will call on the Gambians to come out in their numbers as the way they did in the presidential election. This is as important as the presidential election. So we call on everybody to come out and vote. Vote peacefully. Go home and listen to the results. This is my advice. And we thank the Gambian people, definitely.
Having won in a landslide victory in the December 4th presidential elections, President Barrow was optimistic that his party was going to win majority seats in the National Assembly elections because he won almost 53% of the total votes cast during the presidential elections.
Now we are voting for National Assembly members. We are very hopeful that the NPP will have the majority. Looking at the presidential election, it is a very clear indication that we will have majority in the National Assembly. But I will seize this opportunity to thank all the parties, independent candidates who have participated in this election. It's unprecedented.
Meanwhile, this election saw a low turnout of voters in all administrative areas. Out of 962,157 registered voters, only 492,754 people cast their votes, a total percentage of 51. Sports Minister Bakari Waibaji, speaking on the low turnout of voters, said it is likely for the elections to register a low turnout, but it is not encouraging. He emphasized the importance of the legislative branch.
But the turnout is very low, that's what I see. But I've also consulted with the people out there, and I think it has been the same way since in the morning that the turnout is very low, so which is very common when it comes to parliamentary elections. But that's not what we expect. We expect that people understand that in as much as the executive is important, the legislative body, which is the National Assembly, is also equally important because it's one arm of the government and it's responsible to hold the executive accountable. So people need to take it more serious and understand what the National Assembly role is. But, you know, the most important thing is that those that are willing have come and they've casted their votes.
Meanwhile, President Barrow's party could only get one seat in the Kanifing, Banjul and Brikama administrative area. His party secured 6 seats in the Basse administrative area out of 7 seats. The NPP secured 18 seats, closely followed by the rival opposition, the UDP, with 15 seats. Jacqueline Colley for Star TV News.
Jacqueline Colley reporting there. Well, the National People's Party's plan to have majority to at least get 40 seats in Parliament hasn't gone as planned, as the party managed to only secure only 18 seats in the Saturday National Assembly elections, denying the ruling NPP absolute majority in Parliament there. Mariam Dem came through with this report.
Unlike the 2021 presidential election, the parliamentary election on Saturday reported a low voter turnout of 51%. Out of 962,157 registered voters, only 492,754 cast their votes. The governing National People's Party is reeling from its defeat in the populous settlements in the Greater Banjul area. The NPP lost all of its presidential election-held territories right from Banjul down to Soma in Jara West except All Yundum. The NPP, however, swept the 2 provincial regions, URR and CRR, where the party won all seats but one. The NPP made a total national tally of 18 seats out of 53 constituencies, while its coalition partners NRP secured 4 seats and APRC 2. The rest of the seats went to the main opposition party UDP, 15, PDIS 2, and 12 independent candidates. Notable casualties for the governing party include Alhaji Jawara of Lower Badibu, who alongside 4 others, Baba Gale of Sanementreng, Sekou Marong of Latrikunda Sabaji, Sekou Bajajo of Busumbala, and Fatumata Jawara of Talending Kunjang, joined NPP after being thrown out of the UDP 3 years ago. Veteran politician Sidi Ajata and founding member of the PDOIS lost his long stay as NAM for Woolly West, but his protege, Suaibu Toure, won in neighboring Woolly East. The results also revealed a dramatic loss of ground for the APRC in Fonyi, losing all 5 seats in the region to the breakaway faction loyal to former President Jammeh. The Gambia Democratic Congress, which was the 3rd most powerful party only 5 years ago after coming 3rd in the presidential election and winning 5 seats, now does not have a single seat after losing Nyamena East and Jimara, home of party leader Mama Kande. The GMC leader, Mai Fati, also failed in his bid to sit in the assembly after losing in Woolly West. While the UDP may have reason to celebrate, the party is smarting at the failed bid of Yakumba Gitteh, who lost to Omar Cham of PDOIS in Sarakunda. Despite being sort of an absolute majority in the House, President Barrow can nominate 5 other members of Parliament, including the Speaker, who will be selected from his party. The 6th legislature is due to be sworn in on Thursday. Meanwhile, this was the 2nd parliamentary election since ex-President Jammeh left office in 2017. Maria Madem reporting for Star TV News.
Now, GDC leader Mama Kande has addressed his supporters in an audio message where he thanked them for their hard work. Well, the party did not secure any seat in the National Assembly elections. The party fielded 26 candidates. Well, they were unable to at least secure a seat in Parliament. However, the party's leader, Mama Kande, has been speaking to his supporters, thanking them for all that they have done in this election and asking them to continue with this struggle. More in this report by Hadi M. Jajo.
The Gambia Democratic Congress fielded 27 candidates in the Saturday's National Assembly elections, making it the 3rd party with the highest number of candidates. The party, however, failed to replicate defeat as it has not been able to win a single seat out of the 27 constituencies it contested. Gambia Democratic Congress Party leader and Secretary General Mama Kandeh thanked his supporters and party candidates for their tremendous work during the parliamentary election, even though they failed to retain their seats. Kandeh added that he is impressed with the work his supporters and executive members did this year for the first time in the history of the party, despite the defeat in the April 9 parliamentary election. He further added that the electorates own their votes and they have the right to decide whomever they want to represent them in the parliament, and they respect the verdict of the people. Kandeh continued to thank and pray for all those who spend their resources to support their candidates during the campaign and advised them to return their faith to Allah and know that this is not the end of the world. Reporting for Star TV News, I am Hadi Mjaju.
Now, still on current affairs, that is news, we now go to Jamweli in Combo North, where there is a school called Hope Academic. They have registered a new structure in the school's premises. The building will not only facelift the school, but also enhance learning as the new structure is loaded with learning materials. I think that report is not ready, so we'll move to the other report we have for you. The IMF, that is the International Monetary Fund, it is forecasting that that would be the Gambia's economic situation will remain unchanged, as the central bank is likely to tighten policy to contain price measures or pressures emanating from Russia's invasion of Ukraine. This is according to the IMF International Monetary Fund there, as reported by Bloomberg.
Economy is seen expanding 5.6% this year, after rebounding to that level in 2021 from pandemic-induced low levels. The IMF said in a report after completing a fourth review of the country's extended credit facility program. The repercussions of the war in Ukraine are weighing on the rebound and fueling inflationary pressures. The Washington-based IMF said monetary policy will need to be tightened in the face of increased inflationary pressures while safeguarding the fragile economic recovery. Inflation accelerated to 8.3% in February from 7.6% in December as global commodity prices surged in response to the war in Ukraine, according to the IMF. Gambia met all but one of the quantitative performance criteria and all but one of the indicative targets set for the review period ending December 2021, the IMF said. The IMF Executive Board may approve a $7 million disbursement to Gambia when it considers the staff report in June, it said. A team from the International Monetary Fund, led by Mr. Fizara, mission chief for the Gambia, held discussions with the Gambian authorities during March 28 to April 8, 2022, on the fourth review of the Gambia's economic program supported by the IMF Extended Credit Facility Agreement. The IMF mission chief for the Gambia revealed that the Gambian authorities continue to fulfill their commitment to full transparency of COVID-19 related spending. They continue to regularly publish the list of all COVID-19 related procurement contracts and their beneficiary owners on the Gambia Public Procurement Agency's website. The National Audit Office completed and published the first phase of an audit of COVID-19 spending. Good progress has also been made in strengthening the institutional workframe of state-owned enterprises, as well as revenue administration and public finance management, including tax expenditure policy, digitalization of tax collection systems, and budget and debt management processes. The mission team also had fruitful discussions with representatives of the private sector, civil society, banks and microfinance institutions, and development partners, who all showed strong support for the reform under the ECF-supported program. The mission team thanked the Gambian authorities for the constructive discussions and their cooperative spirit. Star TV News, I am Binta Okoli.
Thank Thank you. So tonight I'll be speaking to NPP strongman Ahmad Gitteh. He's my guest for tonight. Mr. Gitteh, thank you for coming on my show.
Thank you very much for having me, Uncle.
I mean, this is going to be a big interview, so get ready. I would want you to draw closer to your microphone. Exactly. Thank you. Why did you break away from the main National People's Party?
I don't think I have broken away from the National People's Party. I supported a candidate that I believe would be of importance and of relevance to the beliefs and aspirations of National People's Party. Remember, we were going to elect people to represent us in Parliament, the most important house in the country, where decisions are made, and not just decisions, but very important national decisions. And the people that you need to send to that house must be people of substance and people who understand matters, at least in particular areas. And I, rooted for a person who is an expert in the health sector. So, but we are all NPP. I didn't break away from NPP. Well, I mean, they would say that, but I did not break away from NPP.
So here is the thing. Let's clear that. I mean, you come from Brikama South.
Yes.
NPP chose a candidate.
Yes.
You did not back that candidate. You backed a candidate of your own. You are talking about people of substance. Are you saying the candidate that the National People's Party chose wasn't a person of substance?
He might be a person of substance, but that substance is not
so you are
what
not
we
sure.
need. It's not, let me finish. The substance he might have is not what you need in someone that is supposed to represent us at National Assembly.
How did you know that?
So I have watched, and I have also had a little bit of interactions, and I've asked people who knew the individual. Now, there is a list of things that people need to, acquire when you're going to the Parliament. One of them is, and I'm talking about Constitution. The person has to have a degree of understanding of English language to be able to participate in important matters in the House. A degree of understanding of English language. You have to be able to write. You have to be able to read and understand. You also have to be able to explain and defend or, reject matters that are placed before you. And I believe that the individual they have picked out of about 5 candidates that were produced to compete was the lowest when it comes to qualifications. And I, as a founder or a founding member of National People's Party, felt that was an insult to what I believe was the tenets of the party, was one of the pillars on which the party was built, and that is, encouraging quality, encouraging knowledge, encouraging skill sets, and also encouraging youths. All these were absent in the candidate they've chosen, and I chose to go with the one they've rejected. In addition to the way and manner in which the candidate was picked or selected, there were some very, very irresponsible after selection comments that were made by those that were at the helm of affairs at the regional level. The manner in which they handled the aggrieved party was the worst of ways to handle. and it backfired.
So okay, let's talk about this then. You rebelled against the party after the party did not choose the candidate that you want the party to pick. You broke away. You are saying you did not break away, but yes, you broke away because this is a party. There cannot be two candidates for one party. There can be only one party, a candidate. So if you do not support that candidate and you have a candidate of your own who is up against that candidate, effectively what you've done is that you have broken away.
I disagree with the choice of candidate of the party, but I believe I was still in the house. I did not break away from the house. I was still under the roof of the house.
But let me put it this way, that you undermined the party because
I did not undermine the party.
You undermined the party.
I prevented the party from being undermined. Now let me make this very clear.
No, you undermined the party.
No, I did not.
You undermined the party. The party lost because
the party. Yeah, no. The party is responsible for the loss. Those that go away are responsible for the loss. No, they are not. The people who selected the candidate, those that were responsible, created the mess, and they own the responsibility in its entirety.
So now let
me finish. Let me finish why. I will let you know why. The reason being, you might play your politics in a dirty way as much as you can. And by the way, it could be similar to 2016. President Adama Barrow was not the most educated. Of course, he had the bare minimum of qualifications to be president, but he was nowhere close to the intellectual pedigree of the likes of Halifa Saleh, Bolong Sane, Bolonding Bojang, and Dr. Aissatou Toure. He was nowhere close to those. We played our politics. We got the majority, but when that happened, those that were aggrieved, you immediately reach out to them to make them feel important. But you don't just have them aggrieved and say, go fuck yourself. I'm sorry that I'm fasting. But these were the words coming from Lamin. Do whatever you want to do. Go wherever you want to go to. This is what we have done, and that's it. That is what they have done, and this is not a religion.
But you are not in this for Lamin Jatta. You are in this for President Adama Barrow. The president.
I am not in this for.
You are in the National People's Party.
Not for President Barrow. I am in the National People's Party for my beliefs, my views, and aspirations for this country.
But you have him as your leader.
Yeah, but I am not there for him. Yes. Let me make this clear. Let me make this very clear. I went into the party before even the party was formed. President Adam Barrow and Dabo were equal as far as I'm concerned in terms of citizens. They were equally human beings, and they were both strong people of the United Democratic Party. When matters happened, I independently looked into things and independently made an informed decision that I want to align myself with President Adama Barrow. And we came together with that similarity in ideology, and we formed a party. He is the party leader, but he was not the one that picked the person in our constituency. And when that happened, I had communicated to the people on the ground to tell them this was not right, and they were not listening. And they say we do whatever we want to do. And the best the president perhaps would have done was to reach out as quickly as possible to the aggrieved party.
Now,
if the regional team failed,
president had reached out. The president went on campaign and he reached out. And if you read the whole entire crisis, what you will realize that is that the president was trying to instill at least some level of discipline within NPP. And he went out there, reached out to you, some of you, and said, hey, you have to abandon collapse your campaigns and return to your party. All of you refused.
So here's the thing. Let me give you an analogy. A prophet was sent to the people, and one of the things that the rules that the prophet came with said is, do not engage in drug trafficking. That is what the law says. Now you have somebody who was supported by elements in authority on behalf of the principal, supported someone to get engaged into drug dealing. But I'm relating it. Why would it? No, you would have to let me finish now. If you don't let me finish, you won't be able to understand.
Drug dealing and all of that. Go on.
You would, if I finish, you would understand the analogy. You have to give me time. Okay. Let me. Perhaps that is a bit complex for you. There are a set of rules that we have. And these rules are very clear. Pick candidates that are qualified. Pick candidates that people want. Pick candidates that will be able to represent us.
Is it you who decide that?
The party.
Or the committee?
Now, let me finish. I've not finished. The party principles are that we have to pick people that are qualified. One of the criteria to look into in qualification is the ability to fluently express yourself in the National Assembly in English language. That's one of the, in fact, key is you must be able to speak English very fluently. You must be able to understand English. You must be able to read in English and understand complex matters that are presented at the National Assembly. And the candidate they pick does not have that. And the party say do that. Now, if a party's principles are flawed and are disregarded by people assigned by those on top, and there are colleagues who say no, you cannot go against what the party believes and what is right. The only thing we would expect is for the people at the top to say, hey, you are the ones I've assigned, but what you have done is not right. The aggrieved party is right. Put the house in order. That did not happen. So we believe President Barrow and I are both members of NPP. NPP is the parent. NPP has rules. We are not going by what the president wants. We go by what we wrote in our constitution. And the president and all of us have to abide by. Just like in the country, president does not just, destroy or go against the laws of this country because he's the president. Every citizen have to respect those laws. The same apply to the principle. When people go against the party's rules and regulations, the people at the top should stop them from doing that and make sure that the right thing happens.
So let me ask you this then. The president's detached position. The president left the issue of selection to the local leaders.
Yes, he did.
So are you saying that is wrong for the president to do?
Not entirely wrong, but the party as it is right now is not completely. That is not interference.
That is what you are saying.
Uncle, you are putting words in my mouth. Can I finish? Explain. That's not interference. It is supervise the activities to make sure that the wrongs do not happen. You give your reporters assignments to go and do assignments and report, but before they come on air, you make sure what they bring to people on air as journalists is not garbage. That's your job as the supervisor. That's your job as an editor-in-chief. So if you assign people to do a job, before they come out to the final point, it is your responsibility to check if these assignments were done the right way, if they were in line with the stipulated principles of the mother convention or the party. If they are not, it's important, it's incumbent, obligatory upon you to fix them, and that did not happen. And I have not blamed the president that much for that. There are different layers. Even around the president, there are people who would tell him things that were actually not real on the ground. So they've chosen, and we would not accept that. I am not the best of educated people, but I've been to university, and I wouldn't allow someone to represent me from my constituency who wouldn't even be able to write a good, well-structured sentence. I mean one sentence. Someone that wouldn't be able to even construct a good sentence in English. And doing that, constructing several sentences, is one of the requirements of anyone that is going into parliament. I wouldn't be a part of that.
The UDP took full advantage. They pounced. You made the NPP votes scatter, and as a result, UDP grabbed Brikama South.
Yes, they did.
How do you feel about that?
I felt in a way vindicated, and I felt in a way.
Are you really proud of what you have done?
I am not only proud. I am very proud, because
you lost. The NPP lost.
We have lost. Yes.
Why are you proud of that?
Now you will allow me to talk. If you are into something with somebody, the minimum that is required is mutual respect and understanding. That is very important. We're all not paid in this. Nobody pays me in NPP. In fact, in most cases, I get disturbed because I fly away from my family, come and be talking, and people will be insulting my mother. I've never handled a job, whether in the executive, regional, whatever level, never. If we have a rule that is supposed to be followed, a rule that people will be happy with, a rule that, that will, project that great image of the party, and you don't want that rule to prevail, you just want to be selfish and be self-centered and be pompous and be disrespectful, I put you in a place that you don't respect me. You see that you are not the one in control. Now this is a lesson. I'm very proud that all of us understood that unless we respect and value and listen to each other, we all will lose. And they have more to lose, because they are the ones given millions to go and spend. God knows where it goes. They are the ones given big vehicles to drive.
In case of mutually assured destruction, to self-destroy, that is what you
no, this is okay, so this is not a self-destruction.
Because that's what you are saying.
No, destruction is
we are all going to lose.
Okay, so when it is destroyed, that is too strong a word. We have lost for a period of time, and that will give us an opportunity to understand that we need each other. We are supposed to be each other's keepers. The moment we scatter and disagree and go our separate ways, nobody is a winner. And those that are supposed to know that better are those in charge to steer the affairs. It is the responsibility of a leader to be able to put and keep a house and team together. That's not the job of the followers. That's why you are a leader. So those that are responsible at the leadership in our region should understand that we have a task of uniting and keeping people. The moment we lose that track, we are doomed, and we have no value in leadership. So, I am proud, and I am saying, I'm very proud
to make matters worse. The NPP did not do well across the entire country.
Yes.
How is that going to play out for the party, for President Adama Barrow in these 5 years that he will be in?
Well, okay. So in terms of operation in the parliament, it's not as bad as you would think it is. Apart from UDP, even with UDP, there are people that are very objective-minded. There are members of parliament that will not even agree with Dabo on certain matters. Let's say Dabo doesn't want a particular bill to be passed. If they believe is in the interest of their people, they will. And the president that I know has the best interest of this country at heart. The president I know and his new cabinet that is going to come will only bring bills that will be in the interest of the people. So I believe independent, NPP, UDP, NRP will all come together to forget about the differences and look into this multi-partisan interest, and that is the interest of the country, and they will push bills that are of interest to our country. That is something I believe. There is a place. The second part of it is how that place is. The president will now understand that, not all that glitters is gold. I mean, it's hard to say. I personally have complained to Njie about Lamin in particular in West Coast. He not wrong. He will insult people. He will insult people. He will insult people. Lamin Jatta's job is insulting people. And if he starts a team with 10 people, know that by the end of the day, he will not be talking to 7 of them. If he forms a team right now, in the morning, before end of the day, Lamin Jatta will not be in talking terms with 7 of them.
So now let me ask you about the NPP's performance in the Greater Banjul and the West Coast. It's abysmal. It's bad. Myself, by going by the presidential election, I was stunned by the president's performance. I did not see that. I did not see it coming. It was quite excellent. Yeah. Excellent performance.
Excellent.
And then my thinking was, when come the parliamentary election, that was going to replicate. To my shock and surprise, that's not the case. Only one seat.
So a lot of factors were at play. This wrong selection by the selection process was one, because people refuse to go, and you can translate that to voter apathy, if you will. Number 2.
But 51% is not that bad. Half of those that voted, because it has always been like that.
Yes. How much money was spent during the presidential election, and how much was spent this time around is a very good question. My understanding is each candidate was given, everyone, like each candidate was given, I think, 400,000 or so. Now, a case in point is the people of LRR, for example. During the presidential election, I remembered very well that 35 vehicles were sent to LRR for people to vote. This time around, 5 vehicles were provided. Where are the people who feel the 30 remaining vehicles that you seek to go and vote? Where are they? What made you believe, or what made you think that, this time around they will work or pay their fares to go to LRR? You ship them to LRR. 35 vehicles went to LRR by NPP. This parliamentary election, 5 vehicles. What made you think that, the 30 vehicles that you left behind will not go? What made you believe? How much money did you spend? What make you believe that parliamentary election, people will come and spend a lot more money on their own on the parliamentary election? You only need a lot more money to be spent during the presidential election. What made you believe that? A party, elections are expensive. Elections are expensive in this country, and in fact all over the world.
So are you saying that the party did not take?
I don't think the party. I would believe they were complacent, because let me tell you something. This has built up from the victory. The day of victory. When victory occurred and we won a landslide, you saw the bad performance at the inauguration. The stadium was not even full. I think the belief with the people at the top is that because people vote for us, people, they will now, without any involvement, be self-energized, and be coming to vote or to follow the activities of the party. That's not how things work. And do
you think the president himself was complacent?
Yes, with misleading advice from people around. He was of course complacent. Because you remember when he went around the tour, I would expect that he was not going to talk about independent candidates. But Ahmad Ba.
No, we will get to Ahmad. We will get to Ahmad.
Okay.
But now let's still concentrate or focus on the West Coast, KM
and Banjul.
Yes. Some of you who were you broke away, so you were not there when the operatives were leading the campaign in these three regions. In terms of your leaders in these regions, because I'm sure they must have been, you are saying that the president must have been misinformed. These are the people who were at the forefront. These are the commanders, the battlefield commanders, and they must have been telling the president that they've secured the various constituencies that make up these three regions. And then the president loses in all of these regions. In terms of your leaders in these three regions, what would you say? What's your opinion on the work that they've put in and what they must have advised President Ahmad Barrow?
So like I said, a lot of things, a lot of factors were at play. During the presidential election, let's say, a lot of great people from the diaspora came home to participate, like myself. I was here for like 6 months. There wasn't a village in Combo that I have not visited. And in fact, some of them I visited more than 20 times because I never believe people, very difficult to so I go there because anytime you visit another candidate another party would, so we will continue going. I have my vehicle and we're always with the people, and I'll be reporting that most of the time, talking to Ibrahim Asila and what is supposed to happen. We collaborate and all of that, and I think for some reasons in Combo there might be, but I think if nobody says it, I will. My absence, was felt. There was a vacuum.
Party missed you.
Of course, if they don't want to admit that, I would tell them because I knew what I have done with my team. I knew, and God knows what I have put in. And during that 6 months. Now coming to these leaders, people, from even before the presidential election, people were fed up with Lamin Gitteh, especially. KMC will get to it. But in West Coast, people were fed up with Lamin Gitteh. He was Lamin wasn't even, I wish you had 1 or 2 interactions with Lamin. Words that come from his mouth are worse in taste than feces. He is so arrogant. He has no respect, not even a little of regard for people.
Issue of incompetence that I saw some people peddling among some of your leaders in the West Coast, in the KM and in Banjul, that these people were just sitting there eating money and not doing any work.
That is a factor too. And in one of my videos I say that. Some of them, you give them a lot of money. I remember the very troubling situation that I had with the West Coast team some time ago. In fact, before that incident, I went to the president. I met him in Mansakonko. We spoke on the phone before that. I told him I needed $41,000 because I need some vehicles for president's program. The campaign was going on. He said, okay. I went to Mansakonko. I met him. He asked me to see with one of his aides for the money. And then Lamin said he called West Coast. Lamin said the president told him. Lamin said, oh no, the vehicles are going to be okay. It's going to be fine. They gave 3 vehicles to Kitty. I had to myself. The people are there. I have to myself get 8 vehicles to make it 11, and I paid that money from Kitty. We had 11 vehicles from Kitty for that program. C4, we got 7 vehicles. I had to pay $21,000 of my money. My people are there, and I'm fasting. So they will be given money. They'll be given money to go and get people. God knows what they do with the money. And I have seen those myself. I remember the president had a very big program at Sukuta. He had a big meeting, and people were supposed to be brought with vehicles and all of that. You know, people came, but couldn't have vehicles to go back because the number of vehicles that they were assigned or asked to bring, they did not. Ask my friends, the pickup that the president gave me, I had 6 trips. That day we slept at 3 a.m. 6 different trips. I took people to, Kunkudang. I took people to, Nyofele, Kasakunda. I took people to Sifo, Gunjur. I took people, they refused to give people vehicles. The president left and went home. People were left at that ground in Sukuta. 6 different trips was what I made with my truck, the pickup that the president gave me that day. I slept after 2 a.m. that day. So incidents like that were happening, and it has been built up. But this, I believe, is a blessing in disguise. We've not lost completely, but we have learned a lesson, and we know what is wrong with us now, and it's our responsibility to fix it.
Some of you who broke away, who rebelled,
you don't say that those are
you rebelled from the main cause.
I did not rebel.
From the main cause.
I disagree.
You rebelled from the main cause, and you have a top advisor of the president, a top companion of the president say, you people are even worse than the UDP. There was your UDP, Ahmad Ba. That comment that Ahmad made sparked controversy, sparked anger from within some of you people among the group that broke away. In terms of his comments, he is not, we know he's a companion, a political companion of the president, but he's not a member of the National People's Party. What do you make of his comments?
So, with all due respect to both the president and Ahmad Ba, I would have expected that when Ahmad made that statement, the top echelon of the party, including my own leader, would have had a family discussion with Ahmad to avoid going after the independents. And I made a video where I said this, because there was a misunderstanding in the family. If you don't handle it properly, the UDP scenario would happen. I made this very clear. UDP, we came in 2016 very powerful. We would have been the best in history, and no force would have been able to break us. When you are together, you will not always agree on everything. There will always be divergence of opinions. But again, it is the responsibility of the leaders to make sure they handle these differences at various times very delicately and very carefully. Otherwise, you lose grip. Otherwise, you destroy what is under yourself. NPP got created as a result of the little thing that happened in NPP right now. This was what happened in UDP. When some elements say Dabo has to come, Barrow has to be for 5 years. Some of us said no, Barrow has to come. The only avenue that we should have used to address that was at our Congress. But then the Dabo camp just came up to just brand everybody a hypocrite, Sulu Sajima, useless people, destroyers. And we all know the reality was that we all have rights to our choices of candidates. The only thing that we should do is to follow due process. And I emphasize the word due process here. And that was not followed. Dabo was carried away by those that were supporting him, and then he started making public comments, and he couldn't control the party. He ended up losing, humiliatingly. Now wait, the same thing came into the party. These are our people. They were not happy with a very genuine, very tangible grounds. They have grounds, they have solid grounds on which they stand for their disagreement. The way in which you handle that is not going to tell them that they have come to look for positions, they are selfish, they are worse than UDP, they are destroyers. And then what happened? That did not stop them. Because look, they know you are not feeding them. They know you are not putting the food on the table for them. They know you are not the one paying their electricity bills. They know that you are not the one, getting money from your pocket to build the roads and hospitals and schools.
In other words, they own themselves.
They own themselves. And so if you want to deal with them and you lead them, you have to be careful. You have to be measured in the way you talk to them. I would have believed that it was even very late. The candidate selection happened perhaps weeks before the campaign started. I would have loved the president to assign his ministers that were desk officers for various districts or various regions to go to these independent candidates to come and sit them down. That is the first layer. Hey, this and this is what needs to happen. If they refuse, the president needs to be involved. He needs to invite them himself. It is that important as far as I'm concerned. National Assembly is a very important place. I don't know how that value is not seen in this whole matter as I have seen. I believe the president should have himself been involved in the negotiation. In fact, kneel down for these independent candidates. Please, we know it's not right, but come, please. After this matter, billahi, most of them would have, before campaign begins, most of them would have dropped. But you went and say, you must drop. If you don't drop, you are not NPP. Yes, we are not NPP. Today, you've lost. You will need them. Now you need them.
Now, one thing one interesting thing that also happened ahead of the National Assembly election is this issue of President Barrow keeping or retaining a cabinet that has clearly gone past its sell-by date. Retaining that cabinet, various theories, of course, flew that he wants to retain them as a way of taking Parliament and then later appoint his new cabinet. And that, someone would say has backfired or misfired.
Okay, so I was one of those that disagree with the president's point of view on this matter.
But let's clear that. Was that the president's view?
Well, okay. So now let me be clear.
Yes.
I understood the president wanted to keep the cabinet until after the parliamentary elections. Now, for what reason, that might be known by very few. No, but of course we will all speculate.
Yes.
Now, and these speculations will not be that wrong, because this is politics. Most people want positions. Most people want to benefit, and you don't have enough of positions to give everybody, and those you have not given may not be happy. And if they are not happy, they are not with you. They go their way. A lot of them will do that. I am one of those that spoke to somebody, big, and I believe that a lot of people did not, before the election, agree with the set of cabinet we have. They are not happy with a lot of cabinet ministers. We all know that. That's in the open. But people believe that this particular 5 years that ended was too tough for the president. Bro, I was involved at grassroots and with the youths. And I don't think anybody would deny that. I have extensively interacted with people. They don't, but we'll give him chance. People from other parties left their candidates. And they came. We brought them. they want to give the president second chance, but they have no hopes whatsoever in most of his cabinet. Now, for him to keep that cabinet until after parliamentary election, a lot of people saw that as, the president not intending to change and not, serious, if I would say, about, the cries of people. And people say these things, and I would believe that is one of the factors too, that, some cabinet members, people are not happy with them because they believe they are doing a lot of stuff that is not in the interest of the country, that is not even in the interest of the president. And I'm sure the president he gets messages more than anyone else. So that is of course a reason. But when I say that, people here, they said I'm an opportunist.
I'm going to go there. What do you say to comments that Ahmad Gitteh is an opportunist? He goes to his people in Kitty and say President Adam Barrow is going to make me Minister of Youth and Sport.
I have never tell anybody President Adam Barrow is going to make me a Minister of Youth and Sports. I have never in fact told anybody that the president will make me a minister. Now, I know this is from UDP press conference. Dabo made a comment about me giving a ram and $25,000. Actually, this was $500. I gave them $500 that particular day, a ram. And of course, after that, I gave them a bull. I gave them at least I gave them 100,000. Because what happened? This is my place.
Are you saying that Dabo is not telling the truth?
Well, he got the fact that I gave them a ram and $25,000, which is $500. But to say I told them I want to be just a youth and sports minister. In fact, all those that knew me would tell you that one of the positions I'm never interested in is youth and sports ministry.
So we are going to do this quickly.
I'm coming.
I think you have answered that.
Yeah.
We are going to do this quickly. We don't have much time on our hands.
Yeah.
Let me now ask you, are you an opportunist?
Sometimes people's definition of opportunism, I don't know. If the one I understood is the meaning of opportunism, I don't think I'm an opportunist. I am not an opportunist. And by the way, let's say there is a measurement of work, because those that work get rewards. There is a saying, man jadda wajada. This is an Arabic statement. Those that work hard achieve. Who in NPP would raise his hand up and say, I have put in more time and work to re-elect President Adam Barrow than Ahmad Gitteh? Let one individual come here and tell me, I have worked more than you to re-elect President Barrow. Let one individual come. Let one individual from the party come out and say, I have sacrificed more than you, Ahmad Gitteh. Let one person come out. So wait, I'm coming. So if you have worked and time has come for people to get positions, they call you an opportunist. That is serious. You work with people, they know you. Even those that I would consider my adversaries, that is the UDP, everybody would tell you with all honesty, Gitteh worked hard.
You came.
So you worked, and now the positions are there, and it's going to be given to people, and you say he's an opportunist. That is very unfortunate.
You came 2 days to parliamentary election. Have you met President Barrow?
No, I have not. I did not. Not within that period.
Are you interested?
Well, of course, I would definitely meet President Barrow. Inshallah, I'll meet President Barrow.
Mr. Gitteh, thank you very much. We've run out of time. My nephew, we've run out of time. But I hope to bring you back on some other time. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Take care.
That's Ahmad Gitteh, politician, National People's Party. Now breakaways from man. He was my guest for tonight. I will see you on Wednesday. Until then, goodbye from me.